Good afternoon, students. Welcome back to PLUTUS IAS. I am Rajesh Kumar discussing over the topic of polity and public administration. Today, we will be discussing over the important topic of the Hindu newspaper related to public administration and is also useful for the polity section of GS. On 11th June 2026, there was an article over negotiating federalism in higher education. To discuss in detail about the article, we will be discussing about first of all what is negotiating federalism, and even before, what is federalism. Federalism is a form of government where there is separation of power. To have the better functioning of the states, it is required to provide autonomy and to provide powers, authority to the states to have the better governance, right? Hence, during the formation of constitution, some type of mechanism was introduced. Although the word federalism is not there in constitution, still in article 1 there is union of state, and in essence there is some kind of mechanism through different articles of the constitution. There is such kind of arrangement of separation of power, right? If we see the political history of India, we'll see there are different type of separation of power which could be there in the form of trends of federalism, right? In initial years of independence, we'll see the centralized federalism. In such kind of centralized federalism, there is the same party which was ruling at the state and center. Hence, there was a development of such kind of separation of power which reflects the nature of federalism as centralized federalism. But after 1967, there was, say, different rule at the state where regional parties were dominating at different states, from where a new type of trend was originated, what you take it as, what you say, bargaining federalism. Then till 90, the same trends was more or less repeating. But after 90, you will see here coalition type of politics was there, where coalition based federalism was there emerging, what you say it as cooperative federalism, where cooperation of states was there. But after that, in 2014, when new government came into picture, there was a new trend with the emergence of Niti Aayog and the same kind of organization and development. There was a new type of tendency emerging as competitive federalism. With the emergence of Niti Aayog, see, different states were there making competition between them for getting advantage of central policies, central sponsored policies. Even central government was also promoting competition among the states in terms of ease of doing business, or what you say, the comparative ranking of the state in terms of, what you say, Swachhta Abhiyan Index, and such kind of indices were also there, over which there was some kind of competition between the states. But after 2010, see, such kind of trends was also continuing, with new trends emerging as negotiating federalism, and was more prevalent after 2020, when there was a situation arised after, more particularly, new education policy 2020, and then GST compensation, then COVID-like situation where there was more assistance or continuous talking between the states and center was there required. And even say appointment of VC and other subjects were also there in terms of also environment and say forest conservation, where forest laws were required to be implementing. Then a labor code was also there to be implementing, where say continuous negotiations and talks were required between the states and center. So in place of command and control, there was the subject of negotiation and talk to have better resolution between the states and center. In that perspective, we will be discussing about the important issues of higher education in terms of new new education policy 2020. First and foremost issue is the subject of appointment of vice chancellor. Since in early period there was appointment made by the recommendation made from the side of governor at the state, and there was no any specific consent taken by the state cabinet. But new economic policy is promoting to have the better efficiency at the state. Rational what you say parameters should be set up for the appointment of vice chancellor at the level of the state. But state requires to have more autonomy, more authority in terms of appointment of vice chancellors at the state university level. Then again another issue is also there of central assistance, funding assistance to the state universities. New economic policy is earmarking such kind of preconditions that if these conditions are accepted by the state, then funds could be given to the states. Such subjects are creating or raising questions among the states about their autonomy. Then certain other issues are also there in terms of education, like three language policies. Certain states are there like Tamil Nadu and even other states like Kerala also raising concern about to such kind of superimposing Hindi to those states, since they were adopting about two language policy. Now there is provision of three language policy, so they are of the apprehension that by three language policy, state government, say central government is introducing the language Hindi from back doors. So such kind of raising concerns are there from the different states in terms of three language policies. And then other issues are also there in terms of what you say regulation made by the UGC, and since in UGC there is upper hand of central government, so to implement the parameters made by the UGC at the state university level would be to some way concentrating power in the hand of center. So in this way there are some kind of issues which is more focusing or giving power to the center, why state governments are say making such kind of reservation over the issues, why see they are not in the opinion what made by the central government, they are not accepting. So there needs to have such kind of unanimity between the center and state. Hence, they are required to have some kind of way forward where there is a need to have such kind of arrangement where center and state should be coming together and to have the acceptance from the both sides. Like that, if such kind of negotiations are made through center state council, then better cooperation could be made between center and states. Then better concerns of the state could be taken in terms of appointment of the VC, since consent of state cabinet should also be there to be required. If such kind of provisions are there, such kind of steps are being taken by the central government to have the consent of a state, then the recommendation of new economic policy could better be implemented. Then other concerns are also there, since state must be having with such kind of autonomy in terms of education. So if some regional languages are prioritized by the states, then such issues could also be added to the new education policy. So these steps could be taken to have the better relationship between center and state, and to make arrangement as negotiation or negotiating federalism would become better instrument for the cooperation between center and states. Thank you.